Greetings and welcome to Global ReConnections, our Africa Success Session, Africa Success Travel Session. So I hope that you're all doing fine. I hope that this finds you in great health and great spirits. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of my perspective on Africa journeys, whether they're returnees or whether they're locals that are they're experiencing us from the international community, or whether we are diasporans that are visiting home, and some of us are checking it out, and some of us are actually relocating there. So this channel is for you. This channel is for you to come on, share your questions, gather some vital information. So there are a few things that I want to touch on, but I don't want it to be long. So I want to just make some very critical points. And one is, for starters, let's talk about people traveling home and why we travel home. Well, even before that, let's back up and let's talk about Africa and how we're even influenced about Africa. So if you live in the US, and I'm coming from the US, I don't know everything about UK, but here in the US, if you are in the US for 30, 40, 25, 50 years, you would have not seen anything positive about Africa until maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But throughout your lifetime, the media, you just wouldn't see it. And you wouldn't hear African music on the radio unless it was someone that had a special program, that was offering African music maybe for an hour or something like that. But most of us really don't know that and don't experience that. So because of that, when African shows would come, like to California where I was staying, the audience would be filled, sometimes sold out, with hardly any black people there. The few black people that are there might be people from the country of the performing artists, where they've got family and friends that are there, living there. And so they may be the ones that show up, and a few more of their extended community might be there. But for the most part, we didn't know about it, okay? So, and that's just an example of how it's a purposeful disconnect, because I remember when Yusindua put out a song once called Live TV, and in fact, live TV, like you could catch anything live. So, but why weren't we having any live footage from Africa? We just weren't. I don't care. You could have 80 channels and you could flip through every channel and you won't see anything positive. If you see something about Africa, it's going to be something derogatory and something negative and something that's going to make you say, you'll keep dreaming about going there, but you are definitely not trying to go there. So just keep that in mind. That's most of our orientation until around the time, I say around 1920 is when around 2019, 2020, is when I started to see more of us from the U.S. actually getting up and going to Africa. So when Corona hit, in my mind, right away I said, this is going to slow down the movement of Africans traveling to Africa, because prior to that, the planes were always filled with other people going to Africa. Most of the time when you take a flight to Africa, it's not a lot of black people on the plane. So many times from different places coming to Africa. So, that's the first thing to keep in mind, that your orientation long before you finally decided to go to Africa, even though you may have thought of yourself as African, and many of us didn't, but even if you did, your orientation was definitely not pro-Africa, because that's just not what we were getting, and many of us didn't really have anything to help balance our compass, like what we were seeing and what was the actual reality on the ground. Myself, I would travel to Africa, I'd come back, I'd ask friends about going. I even paid for people to go. But sometimes people, they didn't want to go to Africa. They would say, yeah, I'm going to go one day, but every year would be a different reason that they didn't go. So just keep keep that in mind. There's no pause on this thing. Okay. So now getting to the propaganda, the negative propaganda that I've seen. So people are telling about things that are tragic on the continent. And there's like videos, and then people using those videos. And the initial videos were incorrect. I mean, someone even posted that one sister had died long before she transitioned. Can you imagine? Just imagine hearing that somebody had posted. Do you think that would help you with your healing process? Just think about it. So I'm just saying that, just keep everything in perspective. And I'm just trying to share a little bit. So you have that. And then you have just information that's not factual going out. Some people may be concerned. Some people are concerned about getting clickbaits for their YouTube channels. And some people are on the ego thing of them getting the information before somebody else, or them having information that somebody doesn't have. And some people just really downright did not care about getting the factual and truthful information. Some people were on very, very, what I can term ghetto, but if you know like what that term means for us in the States, I mean, some people just were really on a rant, just saying anything that had nothing to do with what was going on the ground there, in the Gambia where I was. And I mean, things have happened in other African countries too. There were things that happened in Ghana with a couple of the sisters there. I'm witness to that. I knew them. I know the person. I don't know the person personally who actually did harm the women there, but I know of the person, and I know family members, and I know how some of those things unfolded. So, and they're tragic and they're not good. But I want you also to keep in perspective how many sisters are missing. How many sisters are missing here in the United States? I think it's around 100,000, something like that. Just go online and check it out and see how many black women are missing in the U.S. So let's just keep that perspective. But that doesn't mean that it's still not a bad thing. But for somebody to transition, one person even to transition, as what happened in the Gambia, is terrible. But if we keep it in perspective, then we'll understand that there are atrocities that are happening to Gambians in the Gambia. It's not like all the Gambians are ganging up against African Americans. That is totally untrue. I saw some sisters saying, they're having meetings about how they're going. Come on now. Come on. I mean, some of these people, I wonder, have they ever traveled to Africa? If they visited Africa, and then when I started to think about that, I started to think about, like I started off saying, what's happened? You've already had this orientation in your mind that's negative, and then you go to Africa, and the first thing that happens, you shouldn't have been there anyway. You knew you shouldn't have went there because something was wrong with Africa anyway. It's just really sad, So I want to challenge us to keep things in perspective, and do get in touch with people that may know what happened. And as a matter of fact, there were people that know exactly what happened with different sisters, but they were not coming out telling it, because some of the people that were doing the videos and stuff were so rude and disrespectful and kind of not nice with their presentations that people just don't want to be involved. They're going to stay back. They're not going to say anything because these people are attacking people, okay? These YouTubers are attacking people, and then they're just sussing out to get stuff so that they can get their clicks, their clickbait, whatever. That's what they call it. That's what I've heard people say. So the other thing, that I wanted to make sure that I cover is that the different reasons that some people travel. So some people come to Africa just because they want to see Africa. Some people come because they want to put their feet on the soil, on the motherland. Some people come because they want to just visit. They want to tour. They want to do like a tourism type vibe. Some people come one-way ticket because they're getting out of America. They're running, Some people come because they just want to break from America. Some people come because they want to build. Some people have a Pan-African perspective, and they want to just be around Africans and see what they can contribute while they're borrowing from Africa and contributing back to America. That was my experience, because I would come to Africa and share things and do things and be in circles, and then I would take stuff back and share with, namely, the youth I was working with in juvenile probation or juvenile hall or in the community or in the schools. I share my videos and the things that I learned. So some of us are coming to do that. Some of us are coming to build. We want to do things that are progressive and positive for Africa and for Africans anywhere. So some of us are building so that we have something for African Americans who are coming. Like Sister Ya in Ghana set up the African repatriation, the Sankofa repatriation assistance program. Like, some people have ideas as Pan-Africans, and some people don't, and it doesn't matter. It's okay. You should be able to travel anyway and have those different things and have different experiences, right? However, I think that is really critical why myself and a team of us come together so that we can do positive, successful Africa travel consultations and counseling, because people need, from my experience, what I see, we need to know how to integrate, because we don't come to Africa like, we're not coming to a bare land. We're not coming to the air. I said that on one of the groups. We're coming to Gambia, or we're coming to Ghana, or we're coming to villages, or we're coming to a society where there are people, And if you don't really want to live with people, there are places you can go, because most of these countries have land. They have places out in the outskirts where you can go and you can build, and you can be basically like alone. But if you're coming and you're going to be in an area where you're living with people and interacting with people, maybe you think that it's supposed to happen just like that, but from what I've seen, it's good to have an orientation to how to melange, how to gel. Let me just give one quick example. When I first came and I started learning the language, okay, I was alone. I went to the market by myself. And when I went to the market, I stood around and just listened. First of all, I was dressed just like people there. So people didn't really notice me that much, And I just would stand around and just watch how people would do it. And people would come up, and this is in Senegal. The Senegalese would come up, the women would come up, and they do exactly like my mother told me. My mother said, you don't act super interested about something that you're really interested in. You act kind of nonchalant, like, how much is this dress? You're really not that interested, right? And I noticed the women would do that. They just kind of flick off something like, how much is this? Or what's the price of this? And immediately the vendor, the merchant, would say whatever price it was. And immediately after that, the buyer, the sister, or whoever it is that's buying, would say, bring the price down. Very nonchalantly, not even a big deal. Like, it was automatic. Wanyako. Well, Wanya. Bring it down. That's automatic. So I'm just going to tell you, if you're from the States and you come and somebody tells you a price that's 3 times as much, you know what I'm saying? And it sounds like it's high to you. Most of us, not most of us, but many of us get totally offended, like bent out of shape. Like, they trying to charge me, they trying to overcharge. He tried to charge me 3 times. I mean, it was 10 times as much. You don't realize that that's what people do, even with their local people. That is the way, that is their system. I'm telling you, that is how I started to learn the language. You go to the market, the woman asks how much, the merchant says, oh, that's 10,000, and the woman will say, why you go? Like, bring the price on down. And the person will say, oh, okay, 8,000, or 5,000, for you 5,000. She say, grand. Luta, like, why are you selling it for 5,000 when the guy right over there is only selling it for 2,000? Come on now. And he say, okay, I'll give it to you for 3,000. If it's us, so many of us will be so offended. And me, I'm telling you, I was not offended. I thought it was like a song. And this is how I learned the language, because everyone did the same thing. I mean, every woman that will come up, each booth that I went to is the same thing. This is what they do. This is their culture. Okay, So sometimes you say you don't want to deal with that because it takes too long. You don't have time. You don't have time for all of that bargaining. Just tell me the price. Even that, there's a remedy for that without an attitude. You can say, Gran, lady, someone just be the fahat. My time is small. Can you just tell me, what's your last price? You know, and you can just ask the person. And if they give you something still like, oh, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. And you go to walk up, hey, they're going to tell you to come back. Okay, how much you want to pay? And then when you tell them, they still might try to take it up there again. So I'm saying you can take it like with an attitude, like everybody's trying to be against you. Or you can learn the culture and you can enjoy the culture, okay? It's not the same as when you go in the supermarket and they have some meat, you know, or whatever wrapped up, or they have their set price or whatever. It's not the same. And so what? It's not the same. Does everything have to be exactly how we've experienced it already? No, it does not, you know? So anyway, I didn't mean to go off into a long rant about it, but I just wanted to give that example because maybe it can lend a little bit, you know, to the fact that some things are going to be different places you go. And you can choose your own attitude. You can be upset about it. You can look down on the people and think the way that they do things is not so good as the way you're used to it being done. Or you can just go with the flow and enjoy it. You know what price you're going to get. Ask somebody before you go to the market, how much are beets? How much do carrots usually be? Put it on a piece of paper, and then when you get there, you can say, sister, can you please bring the price down? You know, this is the price that I want to pay. You can do that. It's not really a problem, you know? Just realize that you can enjoy it or you can be frustrated. And then the other thing that I would say, just on this clip, it's important that you get out. Get out. Get away from the tourist areas where hustlers have come to practice their hustle. You know, so you have to check that too. And I have a lot more that I would like to say and like to share, and I will, but I'll make other videos because I don't want to be too long, and this is already much longer than I have planned on it being. So you can get in touch with us. Go to globalreconnections.com. That's our site, and we're still building the website. So, but you're welcome to come there and check it out. But you can hit us up on the email connect at grconnections.com. Connect at grconnections.com, because that's what we're really about assisting Africans to reconnect. That's why we call it Global Reconnections. The first reconnection is reconnecting to yourself and understanding ourselves, and then understanding one another, and then just being able to melange ourselves into a global picture, a global unification of us Africans. Thank you so much for your time, and have a lovely day or evening. All right, from Global Reconnections. Peace.